And welcome back. This is your man Warrior. This is another patron roster review, and this is Mars Quinto from Team Instinct. So when Mars joined me, he was not a part of Team Instinct. He just was a bit of a whale, and he joined my Patreon, loved some of the suggestions and tips I've been giving, and so he joined Patreon, and after having joined Patreon, I got to know him. I saw his galactic power, and I said, man, it would be really cool to have you in Team Instinct as one of my patrons. He's not the only patron from Team Instinct. In fact, I have 5 patrons from Team Instinct, 3 that were Team Instinct to begin with, and 2 that have since become Team Instinct. So it's kind of a bit of a family, both my Patreon family and Team Instinct family. So really fun to have him integrated into the team with Team Instinct. I believe he's with Delta, which was where I started in Team Instinct. Pretty awesome. But we at Team Instinct believe all of us are the same team, all 150 of us. So he's doing really well in basically everywhere, and you wouldn't be surprised. Obviously, when you're a whale, you can buy pretty much what you need to focus on. But he wanted to know if I could tweak anything that he had to give him a little bit more. We are going to start in ships, and then we'll go into arena here really quick. And right now, he is on one of the original servers. He started from the beginning, and so it's hyper competitive, and everybody has this basic build on Fleet Arena with this super crazy powerful team with the TIE Reaper and the TIEs, and you know, Biston's U-Wing is really great because it goes into stealth. And so if you're facing a bunch of other ships that are similarly built like this, the Biston U-Wing is going to give a little bit more durability to the team. So really his ships look good. As far as the Chimera, my suggestion is using the Biston's U-Wing or the TIE Advanced, and there's a reason why you would use one over the other. And so when you're in ships and you're at 240 basically on fleet rank, you're either going to use Biston in that slot or you're going to use the TIE Advanced in that slot. And you have to decide why I would use one ship over the other. If the opponent has the TIE Reaper in their top 5 lineup, like in their basic 5 lineup, then you want to use Biston's ship like you are. If everybody you're going against in that top 250 are not really using the TIE Reaper, then you actually want to use the TIE Advanced into that. So if they have the TIE Reaper, use your Biston ship. If they don't have the TIE Reaper, use your TIE Advanced. The TIE Advanced is a far better ship than the Biston's as far as target lock sustainability for a target lock team. But if they have the TIE Reaper, it's just one more target for them to kill and to slow down your Chimera. So you definitely want to make sure that you know when you should use Biston and when you should be using the TIE Advanced. Let's go ahead and glance into your regular arena. For regular arena, you're using a terrible team. I hate this team. No, I'm just kidding. It's a really good team. It's just it takes, you know, 2.5 to 3 minutes to beat. And for arena teams, when I can beat other teams in like 60 seconds, it's definitely a little bit longer. I was looking at them, and really the team is fine. It's actually a really good build, but I had a couple of suggestions that might help tweak this to make it a little better. And one of which was on your Barris Offie, and you're using health mods, which is really good, but I noticed that you're using a ton of protection mods here, and I know they have a lot of speed secondaries, and kind of what you want to do is make Barris Offie fast, and you've done that. You've gotten her to the goal is basically 200 or anything over 200, and you've basically gotten her there, but you've given her 27,000 protection, and you can give her almost 9,000 health, which would actually benefit her better. It makes her really, really, really hard to kill, especially when she's gaining a ridiculous amount of life on every hit. So my suggestion would be the possibility of focusing on making these, instead of protection, trying to find one with a health primary and speed secondary. Again, for this, health primary with speed secondary. Try to give her a little bit less protection and a little bit more health. You could get her around 35,000 pretty easily by doing that, and that really makes this team that you've built even better. The other thing I noticed is with your General Kenobi, you know he's going to get hit a ton, which is why you built him the way you built him. And I noticed you put tenacity mods with tenacity and then some speed secondaries and stuff. And you've got him built really well. So my only critique of this is, look, his tenacity was raised by 47%, so you've got it to around 83%. The problem with tenacity is you have to understand how tenacity works. So people's tenacity, or the ability to resist a debuff, starts at 0%, but potency to apply a debuff starts automatically at 100%. Provided it says this is how I'm going to apply this ability, provided it's not a percentage chance on the ability, rather just, apply stun. If it says, stun the character, that goes through a potency tenacity check, it's still 100% stun, unless it's prevented through the tenacity. Now, to get that character that has stun to not stun, you're going to have to overcome their natural 100% potency, and then any potency that they've added. So if they've added 80% potency, it's effectively adding 80% on top of the 100% it naturally has, which makes it 180% potency. Your 80% tenacity just takes it back down to 100% chance. Now, there is a hardwired 15% chance for it to work or not work. So 15% of the time, regardless, you're going to do this. Now, long story short, I know for a fact, unequivocally, I'm right about this. I've already talked to developers in length for hours about this, and I basically said that means tenacity is worthless, and they said essentially yes, except for a couple of characters, and one of those two characters are CLS. So with Commander Luke, there is a ability called Learn Control, and with this, you can give yourself 100% tenacity. Now, what's really cool about that is that natural 100% tenacity, and by the way, Thrawn has that ability as well. If you do the ebb and flow, he gets, which you don't have yet, but you should do, he gets an additional 100% tenacity. So how this works and why the developers have finally started putting this into the Zeta abilities is this 100% tenacity that the Learn Control Zeta in the ebb and flow Zeta do, is it nullifies the 100% chance of the debuff from occurring, which puts both basically at even Steven. Then when you mod, you only have to overcome the opponent's potency that they're adding with mods with the tenacity of your mod, which makes it a fair fight as far as modding goes. So because of that, when you mod or when you Zeta this Learn Control, you will be able to effectively put tenacity on Commander Luke, preventing him from getting any debuffs except for 15% of the time. We know that the developers have hardwired in 15% of the time for something to be resisted, even if it's a guarantee, or for something to be denied, even if it's pretty much a guaranteed, even with the mathematics being a one way or the other. But if you want to mitigate the amount of times they're able to do anything negative to Commander Luke, and by the way, we know that when he resists debuffs, it speeds him up and stuff. So because of that, I would Zeta the Learn Control as one of the most important Zetas you get. And then I would also swap the mods with your General Kenobi. Make your General Kenobi, fast and give him a lot of protection. And then move the mods from General Kenobi over to Commander Luke Skywalker with the additional 40+% tenacity that you'll get from those mods. You will be able to get his tenacity up to almost 180% with the mods plus his Zeta. And 180% means that basically you've stripped the opponent from ever being able to apply debuffs, except on the off possible chance that the RNG makes it happen that 15% of the time, which means that they're almost never going to be able to apply debuffs to Commander Luke, which means he's going to go absolutely crazy on defense, and he's going to become way more durable, and it's super exciting and fun to watch. And the most frustrating thing for the opponents when they're constantly trying to get a stun off or something off on Commander Luke, and they can't because you have the tenacity so absolutely high. So swap your mods on Commander Luke to General Kenobi, and from General Kenobi to Commander Luke, and see what happens. You'll definitively see what I'm talking about, and it's pretty exciting. But you have to do the Zeta on Learn Control next to be able to see this part. And then lastly for Arena, after you put some better health mods on Barris and flip-flop the mods on your General Kenobi and CLS, the last thing is the other Zeta I would suggest for this is actually the Ebb and Flow Unique. And the reason why is he has plus 50% tenacity, but when you Zeta it, he also gets 100% counter chance and 100% tenacity. So he's just like CLS. They're basically the only two characters in the game that can effectively use tenacity. And so if you want to frustrate the opponents, you definitely want to use tenacity with these Zetas. And I see you are already using a tenacity set, so you kind of have the right thing in mind. You just got to make sure that you understand that the Ebb and Flow and that Learn Control are both going to have to be Zetaed. But with those two Zetas and with the right mod sets with tenacity, you can make this team absolutely annoying because they're going to continually try to debuff and fail over and over. Plus, your team is going to counter a lot, and Ebb and Flow just makes that countering with Grand Admiral Thrawn consistent because it becomes 100% of the time. So we talked about ships, we talked about Arena, there's a few tweaks you can do. Let's go ahead and talk about who I think you should get to Gear 12. All right, when I talk about Gear 12, really, with your Arena, you already have everybody Gear 12, but when I look at your ships, you don't have everybody that you're using in ships at Gear 12, and it does make a difference with the health and the speed of your ship. It really does. Every couple of pieces of gear gives you at least another 1 speed on your ship, and so it's really important that Shore Trooper get those last 2 pieces so he can go to Gear 12 to make your ship faster, and then also Death Trooper can get almost another 3 speed from getting him to Gear 12. So you're going to add 3 to 4 speed and another 3,000 to 4,000 health to your ship to make it way more durable and faster by simply adding the gear pieces to get Death Trooper and to Shore Trooper. So those two are an absolute must. Also, the TIE Fighter Pilot and the First Order TIE Fighter. If you look, the TIE Fighter Pilot has 6 slots to get to Gear 12, and the First Order TIE Pilot has 6 slots to get to Gear 12. And both of them are ships that you're using in your Arena, and so that's additional speed and health that you're leaving on the table. For the TIE Fighter Pilot, the health gain is significant. For the First Order TIE Pilot, the speed additions are pretty significant in this Gear 12 role. So make sure that you go ahead and apply all the pieces you need to get your First Order TIE Pilot and First Order the TIE Fighter Pilot leveled up to Gear 12. So those 4 pilots are the most important because they're the ones you're using in your initial top 5, and get them all to Gear 12 and look before you add gear at the speed of the ship and health of the ship, and then put the gear pieces in and see the difference between the speed and the health of the ship, and you'll start to see the correlation between the gear you add and the ship and health, speed and health of the ship. Now, even though you're a whale, you did want a little bit of focus on the dark side of who you should kind of focus on, because at this point, you know, it's been all about the light side, and you want to know kind of generalized focus, what you should be doing for the dark side territory battles. So we're going to go into a couple of teams, one of which is bounty hunters. They're absolutely required because there's a couple of nodes that require them, and this is for dark side territory battles. And when I look at your bounty hunters, really all of them are about the same except for Boba Fett and Zam, and those two are great. Cad Bane's got a stun on his basic, so you definitely want to work on him. So I would definitely keep developing your bounty hunters. I do personally like IG-88. I feel like he's one of the biggest damage dealers of the group, and he also has an AoE potential that can do ability block on the opponents. And so if it was me, I would definitely work on IG-88 in this group and then continue to develop the others. With Greedo and Zam, they both have an AoE where they throw that thermal detonator, so they do have a lot of synergy, and Zam can pop those instantly with her basic. So definitely probably there. Your Dengar is one of your lower end, so I would probably just focus on your top 4 and IG-88. Also, like I tell everybody, The Imperial Troopers are really the MVPs for the Dark Side Territory battles, and you have them all 7 stars to use. I would definitely, if it's not an Imperial Trooper specific node, I would definitely use your Director Krennic with Death Trooper, and then also add Shore Trooper, Snow Trooper, and General Veers. But when it's an Imperial Trooper specific node, you'll want to use General Veers as the leader, Snow Trooper, probably Magma Trooper or Storm Trooper. It's a toss-up, and then Death Trooper and Shore Trooper. Now, it's 2 birds, 1 stone with Shore and Death because they're both going to be used for ships as well, so that's awesome, a no-brainer. But if you do this team, you definitely want to throw a Zeta on Veers. So I've talked about 3 Zetas very specifically, 2 for Arena and 1 for Dark Side Territory battles. Make sure your Arena team that gets you your crystals is taken care of first. Do the Learn Control, and then also do your Ebb and Flow on Thrawn, and then move over to General Veers. By that time, you should have General Veers leveled up high enough that it makes sense to put a Zeta on his unique. But Snow Trooper's important, Death and Shore are important, and you've already got half of this pretty much geared up and done. So really, General Veers and Snow Trooper are the ones you want to focus on. Since Magma Trooper is a little high than Storm Trooper, you may want to go that route and just get him to like maybe gear 9 or gear 10, and you can kind of slow gear that. You don't have to be too focused on that. Now, you did tell me that you're a whale, and I know you do spend money from time to time, and you have Mother Talzin 7 stars, which tells me you did whale out just a little bit on her. Probably spent $200 on a character, which is crazy, but I did the same thing. But this team is going to be an MVP team for the Dark Side Territory battles. They're actually even better than the Imperial Troopers. And so because you have Mother Talzin, Asajj, and you have Old Daka and Night Sister Acolyte, to make this team a phase 1 through 6 totally viable team, the one character that you definitely are going to have 7 stars to make this team super viable and work super good is going to be Night Sister Zombie. So if there was any character in the game I was going to tell you to whale out on, it would be Night Sister Zombie. And I know normally I don't tell people to spend $200 on one character, but because you do that from time to time, the Night Sister Zombie would be the biggest, #1, biggest, best investment for Dark Side Territory battles. Once Night Sister Zombie is 7 stars, she'll be usable in all 6 phases, and you'll be able to use your Night Sister squad through all 6 phases. And I'm telling you, the Night Sister squad is phenomenal. I go through phase 1 through 6. 4 out of 5 are completely untouched. The only one that basically gets hit is the zombie, and of course the zombie comes back to life nonstop. This team was specifically built with the Dark Side Territory battles in mind, and then the second best team in my opinion is that Imperial Trooper team. But your Night Sisters are in better shape to do more for you. So if you're wanting to contribute more on the Team Instinct territory battles that you're doing, you're definitely going to want to finish off those Imperial Troopers and Night Sisters. Your Sith and your Empire look pretty good, so it's not huge focus on those, but I would definitely work on getting Night Sister Zombie 7 starred and then those Imperial Troopers. All right, Mars, you're doing really well. Ships look good. Arena looks good. Make some slight tweaks with Barriss. Swap those General Kenobi CLS mods. Unique the Zeta the uniques of Ebb and Flow and Learn Control so you can really start to use tenacity in a way that's absolutely frustrating on this team. Get to gear 12, your Death Trooper, your Shore Trooper, your TIE Fighter Pilot, your First Order TIE Fighter. Start to work on Bounty Hunters, your Imperial Troopers, and whale out on the zombie. If anybody has any thoughts, leave them in the comments down below. As always, you can hit me up, Mars, on our private Discord chat, and I want everybody out there to have a wonderful afternoon. Keep your gaming on. Warrior out.